Hello, everyone. It's Mark here again. I'm the founder of the Arts and Culture Network. We're a growing global community of over 150,000 now across our 8 LinkedIn groups. So I don't get to meet everyone, but when I do, it's a pleasure. And today, one of our full members has joined me. Stephen Partiman is one of our full members in the Arts and Culture Network. Thanks, Stephen. We've had a little chat before we hit record. I'm suffering from a sore throat, so I hope that doesn't ruin things, but we're going to have some fun today. I'm going to ask Stephen to introduce himself to you all, talk to us a little bit about his superpowers and his passions and the different art forms in which he's engaged. Love it. And then I've got a kind of a game that we play. We're actually now calling it Desmond Island Arts. It's a version of Desert Island it's a version of Desert Island discs that they do on the BBC when they ask people for their preferences. But the first person I did this with, Desmond, I accidentally called it Desmond Island Arts instead of Desert Island Arts. So the name has stuck, I'm afraid. So we're going to play Desmond Island Arts as well. So Stephen, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you very much for being one of our full members. Would you like to say hi to everyone?
Hi everyone, I'm Stephen Partiman. I'm a visual artist. Also, I would like to call myself transcending artist because everything is kind of a risk and a kind of a how do you call it, challenge. And that's the way I work. That's the way I think about life as well.
Great. I've been browsing through your work and I love it. And just remind us where you're based.
I'm based in Holland, the Netherlands, and I live in the lovely city with all the flowers. It's called Aalsmeer. You could be here like a tourist or visiting Amsterdam, and then you can also visit Aalsmeer as well.
Sounds beautiful. How do you spell that so I can show people?
It's a double A L S M E double E and then the R.
There we go. I'm going to get some images up so we can see where you are. Oh, look at those colors. Right. Let me share my screen and I'll show everyone where you're based. There we go. Look,
That's it.
look at that. And you've got a beautiful, that swing bridge there.
Yeah, that's a part of the old village. It's kind of a historic settlement. And if you go there, there's a nice restaurant with a tea house, and you can eat and drink and brainstorm about your ideas and have some tea as well.
Lovely. Who puts a windmill in the middle of a town? That's great.
That's a leftover windmill. And the new buildings are based around the windmill, and
Right.
and there's a kind of a organization who is taking care of the windmill.
Yeah. It's like you've got a little version of Venice here. Look at it.
It is. We have water, we have country, we have pharmacies, not pharmacies, farmers, and a lot of flowers.
Lots of flowers. Look, you even have an annual flower festival as
Yeah,
well.
this year that would be the 8th of May.
Right.
And
Okay.
every month in summer until let's say autumn, there will be a flower festival according to the flower of that season.
Ah, okay. And look at those beautiful floating houseboats.
Yeah.
They are fantastic. Excellent. So that's Aalsmeer, if you're ever near Amsterdam and you want to go and visit. Excellent.
Come and
Now,
visit us.
we've got, thank you, Stephen, for showing us that. We wanted to show some of your work. So we're going to jump between your website and your Instagram. So this is stephenpartiman.com. So there's some fantastic work here, which is great. So if you'd like to have a look, that's where you could go. But on Instagram, Stephen is at Stephen Partiman. Here you are. So tell us a little bit about some of the inspiration behind the work here, Stephen.
Mostly, I started drawing at 6, and my mother said, "Well, I bought these sketchbooks for you, so and some books from the museum. Maybe you can get some inspiration about it." And I was really inspired by some old masters and sceneries I saw in books. I was inspired by the Japanese art as well. They made paintings on rice paper, and I thought, man, that's really cool. So when I was younger until now, I was started experimenting on all kinds of um, how do you call it? All kinds of materials,
Yeah,
and I ended up with canvases and wood, so wood and metal uh and walls. So there's inspiring graffiti made with inspiration. Oh, that's cool, man. Thanks.
yeah.
Made with paintbrush or paint cans, and that was a big part of my younger life, experimenting with graffiti. uh After a while, I didn't know that Bensky who took that, but we were experimented with stencil as well, and we thought it was cheating, and nowadays it isn't.
No, it's not. You're absolutely right. So you're a writer as well, aren't you?
Yes, I'm a writer as well. I'm busy with the children book, and I'm busy with a kind of a fantasy novel, and I'm busy with there are 3 books which I'm making right now, of writing right now and brainstorming with myself, and the third one is a self-help book
Okay.
on a kind of spiritual mental health um base.
Yeah,
And
that's great.
thank
That's,
you.
that's one of my favorites there. There we
Yeah.
go. Excellent. Okay, that's great. So if you'd like to learn more about Stephen's work, you'll find wherever this appears, there'll be a profile about Stephen with links to his website and Instagram. So it's stephenpartiman.com and then Stephen Partiman on Instagram. Thank you for that. I love it. Great.
Mark.
Now we're going to find out a little bit more about your preferences, if that's okay. There are
Really
no
good.
wrong answers. You can always throw the question back to me as well, but we're calling this Desmond Island Arts. It's a
Cool.
little bit like Desert Island Discs on the BBC Radio 4. But when we did this for the first time with Desmond, I accidentally called it Desmond Island Arts. So it's stuck. So that's what it's called. So we're going to ask you some for your preferences across different art forms. And if nothing comes to mind, then by all means throw it straight back at me. But are you happy to do that, Stephen?
I'm happy to do that, Mark. Thank you, man.
Excellent. We'll also play the this or that game to find out a little bit more about you as a guy. So that's the plan. So the first question is in your backyard. It's visual arts. So I wonder if you could own a single artwork from any museum or gallery in the world, what might you choose?
That would be an portrait of a brown man. He was one of the first um, colored guys in Holland, and I believe it was painted by the pupils of Rembrandt or Rembrandt himself. But it's such a powerful piece for me, and also to know what he went through um, while landing here in Holland.
So I
And
think I've found some possibilities. It might be one of these. Shall we share and you can tell
yeah,
me if it's any of these?
yeah,
There we go.
I I think it's, sorry, Mark.
Well, that's okay. Just wondered if it was perhaps in here.
I think you found him.
Yeah, I think this is I think this is a Rembrandt.
Yeah, but I think it's the guy on the top on the left. Yeah,
Here,
yeah, yeah. That's him.
that's him.
Yeah,
That's a great picture, isn't it?
yeah,
Fantastic. Excellent.
yeah.
So yeah, that's Rembrandt. Excellent. Okay. So you can have that up on your wall.
Yeah.
No charge.
No charge. No
Um,
working over me. Sorry.
now we're going to move into the performing arts now.
Yeah.
I'd like you to think of some events that you've been to, live performance arts events.
Mhm.
What's the most unforgettable live performance that you've ever been to?
Which I took part of, or I was watching it.
Either.
Well, that would be a dance performance by a flamenco group. I went there with my wife. I did a request on the radio, and they asked me a lot of questions which were really difficult. And at the end of the game, it was a competition, and I won the tickets. So I went there. I went there with my wife, uh, and we had a lovely time. And it was really the originality of the dance and the choreograph. I can't speak it out really cool, but uh, the whole performance was really enjoyable, and it was tight. It was nice. It was
Very,
really nice, and I will never forget it, because then at that time my wife was still able to walk. Yeah.
there is a wonderful modern flamenco dancer called Sarah Barras. And Sarah, I think it's Sara and then it's Barras. And I've seen some of her videos on YouTube and they are stunning. So
Wow.
excellent. Flamenco it is. So
It is.
we've got Rembrandt and flamenco so far. It's great. Now we're going to move into the realm of the literary arts.
Yeah.
If you could recommend just one novel, poem, or play, who would it be? What would it be?
Um, the play would be about Malcolm X. Um, I don't know the name of the orchestra and the director of it, uh, but it was really, really, really powerful.
Okay, let's see if we
And
can
there's
find it.
you can find some information on YouTube. Um, I also saw a opera singer. His name, I lost his name at this moment as well. Oh, it's not going well, Mark.
That's okay. I think I may have found the Malcolm X play
Yeah,
by N.R. Davidson
yeah,
about the life of civil rights leader Malcolm X. The play
yeah,
premiered in 1969 and was based on Malcolm X's autobiography and speeches.
yes.
Yeah, that'll be it, I think. That's
Yes,
great.
that is, and later on, the community took it over and presented it again.
Yeah.
And, and I will shoot the opera singer um for you. Uh, but he's amazing.
Okay. Uh, is it a guy or a
It's a
girl?
guy. Uh,
Living or no longer living?
he's even younger than I am, so still living.
It's
Uh,
not Bocelli.
no, it's colored. Uh, I've sent them a while back. Sorry,
That's
I
okay.
sent them a direct message because I thought it was really interesting to hooking them up with some kind of directors or music in the music scene.
Mm.
Uh,
Well,
but
if you think of that, send it.
John Holiday,
John
Holiday.
John Holiday.
Yeah,
Excellent. Okay. Well, we'll have to have a look at that as
yeah,
well. So moving on. So far we've got Rembrandt. We've got we've got flamenco. We've got Malcolm X.
yes.
Let's move into cultural heritage. So is there a historical site or cultural landmark that you feel everyone should visit at least once in their lifetime?
There is. Um, for me, speaking, it would be the indigenous people from Suriname because I have never met them in real life.
Yeah.
But at part of the festival which I'm organizing here in Holland, I met a few and I thought, whoa, um, how come we all live in Suriname, but we don't have any connection with the indigenous people
Mm,
uh, at that time.
yeah.
Right now, everybody is making connections with each other in Suriname and elsewhere, but at that time there wasn't. So for me, that would be enjoyable and really amazing to do that.
Fantastic. Tell us a little bit about the festival that you're organizing.
Well, it will be a cultural festival with food, dance, music, art, um, spoken word artist, hopefully some opera because I really love that.
That would be good. Excellent.
And it's for everyone. So if you're here at the 1st of July 2025, please come visit us in Aalsmeer.
Is it in Aalsmeer or in Amsterdam?
In Aalsmeer. At that time in Amsterdam, there's a kind of the same festival of another version of the festival, but over here we're between all kinds of nationalities, so we're taking care of everyone.
Fantastic. Excellent. That's great. Now we're going to move on to museums and galleries now. Do you have a favorite museum or gallery?
Favorite museum, obviously the Rijksmuseum and the Stedelijk Museum. And I can elaborate why.
Yes, please.
The Rijksmuseum because I've won again, won a competition with my painting, my portrait of Marilyn Monroe, and the prize was that you get a VIP treatment at the Rijksmuseum. And so I went there again with my wife. We had a really great time, and that's how I saw the portrait of the colored guy in the
Right.
painting. And it isn't big, but it was really impressive. And a curator was showing us around.
Yeah, that's great. Here it is.
Yeah.
And I think you can sleep near a Rembrandt, can't you?
Yes, that's the part. That's a new thing. Um, and it's really nice to see how the old masters were doing their thing. And what I really strongly believe is they did their thing their way, so we could think about our disciplines our way.
Yeah, it's
And
fantastic. So this gentleman was the 10 millionth visitor
yeah,
to the Rijksmuseum. So he got to spend the night sleeping under the Rembrandt. I love
yeah,
that.
that
Excellent.
would be awesome, man.
Yeah, wouldn't it? It's like a night at a museum, like the film.
It is.
Excellent. So just to recap, we've got Rembrandt, we've got flamenco, we've got Malcolm X, we've got Suriname heritage, and we've got the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam. So we're nearly there. So there are two more questions I'd like to ask them. In the world of film,
Yeah.
do you have a favorite film or a film that you keep going back to?
Well, I have this director. He made Takeshi Castle in the early days, and then he started making films. And his name is Takeshi Kitano. And while I was doing Aikido and Kendo, I had a teacher, and he told me more about him, and I got into his 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 films, and his favorite movie for me would be Brother, because he is like this really hard um uh mafia guy. They call it I don't know the name anymore, but anywho, and he made connection with all kinds of cultures, and actually the film is about brotherly love.
Mm,
Yeah.
love it. So that's Takeshi
Kitano.
Kitano, Kitano. Yes, I'm going to have a look at some of those.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Love that. Now this one is about, I love asking this question because especially with people who are active in different art forms as you are. It's around cross-disciplinary inspiration, really. So how do those different art forms of visual, performing, and literary arts, how do they intersect and combine in your work?
Um, well, for me, it's not that difficult, Mark, because I always had interest in more inspiration, in more reading about things and trying to understand what's happening. And um, crossover are for me also a shared piece of the pie. So if you do a crossover or collaboration with other artists, no matter if they are dancing or making graphs or just making conceptual art, it doesn't matter. What does matter is that the piece at the end of the day would be amazing and inspiring for others, or maybe has a message to communities for listen, this is what we made for you or for a company, and that it will last. So for me, reading books, uh, films, uh, industry, um, mental health, um, nature, seas, everything is kind of colors is for me also an inspiration, and 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 I love to see people happy. I love to see them smile, and um and I can see, and also on a practical financial level, I love to see that we can we can get paid by doing it as well. So we have to survive in this world, so we have to get paid as well.
Yeah,
uh, and in this day and age, you have to represent yourself, you have to acknowledge each other, and also work on a fair practice scale. So
yeah,
that's my yeah, my goal.
that's great. Thank you for that. So there we are. Those are your preferences. That was your Desmond Island disc, Desmond Island Arts.
Yay.
We're going it's great. It's lovely. It opens a window onto your talent, which is great. Now, for a bit of fun, we're going to play the this or that game. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to give you two things. You have to choose one.
Okay.
It's quite fast paced. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Are you ready then?
I'm ready.
Sparkling or still water?
Still water.
Mac or PC?
PC.
Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Radio or television?
Television.
Peas or sprouts?
Peas.
Call them or text them?
Call them.
A window seat or an aisle seat?
What's it? I'll see it.
Milk or dark chocolate?
Dark chocolate.
Tulips or roses?
Tulips.
There we go. I knew that one was coming. Car or motorcycle?
Motorcycle.
Love it. Boiled egg or fried egg?
Boiled egg.
Comedy or horror?
Comedy.
A concert hall or a sports stadium?
Concert hall.
Cat or dog?
Dog.
Test the water or dive in at the deep end?
Test the water.
Orange juice, bits or no bits?
Orange juice.
Yes, bits, pulp or no pulp?
Oh, sorry. No pulp.
An hour in an art gallery or an hour in a museum?
An hour in the museum.
Beethoven or Mozart?
Ooh. Mozart.
Cooking or being cooked for?
Cooking.
Nice. Sand or snow?
Snow.
Nice. Shopping online or in store?
In store.
Reggae or salsa?
Actually both. I have to choose one. Salsa.
Salsa. Indoors or outdoors?
Outdoors. Bless.
Thank you. Android or iPhone?
Android.
Start immediately or wait until the last minute?
Start immediately.
Science or history?
Yeah, both. History.
New York or Los Angeles?
New York.
Circle or square?
Circle.
Messy desk or tidy desk?
Tidy desk.
Red or white wine?
Red wine.
Numbers or words?
Words.
Rare or well done?
Well done.
Mild or spicy?
Mild.
Gold or silver?
Gold. Actually, everything for me is gold.
And finally, see the future or change the past?
See the future.
It's got the lottery numbers in it, hasn't it? Yeah.
It is. Thank you, Mark.
Great. Stephen, thank you so much for being a good sport and doing that today with me. And thank you again also for being one of our full members. We're entirely member funded here, as you know. So you won't know this, but some of the amounts that you pay each month go to help other members in times of need as well. So it's very, very kind. Wherever this appears, there will be a profile about you, examples of your work, and links to your website and Instagram. So thank you once again, Stephen. I hope you've enjoyed this.
I enjoyed this very much, Mark. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome, and thank you for giving me this opportunity.